you had to choose between financial freedom or financial security, which one would you choose? Today I'm going to talk about the difference between financial freedom and financial security, and I'm going to talk about the 5 things to help you build either one. All right, so I was listening to a podcast this week and they were talking a lot about financial freedom. And if you've watched other YouTube videos of mine, I refer to my money school often. So I have a money school, and in my money school, I teach personal finance, personal financial literacy, and really, at the end of the day, how to master your money. And so we talk a lot about this thing called financial freedom, because at the end of the day, I want all of my students to become financially free. But I was really starting to think about this more this week after listening to a podcast that was about freedom. And I like the word financial freedom because when I ask people what do they mean by financial freedom, they say words like, I just have more choices, I have more options, I can do more things, I can have more experiences, and ultimately more autonomy. Like, you fill in the blank, like, what is your definition of financial freedom? And those are all great things, of course. And I think I'm pretty certain by this point, because I've asked so many of my students and people in audiences and you on the other side of YouTube, what do you want? What's your financial goal when it comes to money? And ultimately people say, I want financial freedom. I want financial independence. But is that what we really want? I'm going to argue. And I was talking to my class earlier this week that I said, I'm not sure it's financial freedom we're really after. I actually think it's financial security. And financial security, what is that? Because financial security is a feeling. And I can tell you, when you have financial security, life is different. So financial security means just that. You feel financially secure. It's a security. And our biology, how we're built, is we're built for safety, for security, for stability. That's what our biology wants, homeostasis, that's everything. So when we feel safe and stable and secure, life is easier, as opposed to being in a constant state of fear and anxiety and stress and emergency and breakdown. That's the opposite of security, when we're insecure and wobbly and life is all over the place. And that's when life is hard. So I'm going to argue that yeah, financial freedom's great, but even using this word financial freedom, I think for many people, they think that's too far off. That's impossible. So even though we say we want it, our subconscious is saying that's impossible. But what if we change financial freedom for financial security? And financial security, like I said, that just means we don't have financial anxiety, we don't have financial stress, and ultimately it means our bills every single month are covered. And it's so easy when we break it down. It means our passive income is greater than our monthly burn. And our monthly burn are your monthly bills. So that's security. That's what we want. So I'm going to share with you, to make that an intention that I want to become financially secure. I want that feeling of financial safety, of my bills are covered. And I think, again, our psychology says hey, I can achieve financial security. That's within my reach, where sometimes financial freedom subconsciously might be out of reach. So financial security. Now, how do we create financial security? And at the end of the day, my definition of financial security is the same as financial freedom. And financial freedom and security means it can be different numbers for everybody. And it's you determining what is your number that makes you feel secure. That is that distance between financial stress month to month to that financial, all the bills are covered, I can wake up and I don't have to worry about money. And how good will that feel the day where you don't have to worry about money anymore? Not worry about it like we have to worry today, I have to go to work tomorrow to pay yesterday's bills. So that's where we're going to get to these 5 things to create financial security, i.e. financial freedom. I think these two terms are interchangeable. So the first thing that when we want to create financial security, there's actually these 3 parts and then these 5 elements to creating the security we're after. And I call this my earn, spend, and invest framework. So I'm going to go over that today, and I think I've referred to it in quite a few videos, and today is the day to talk about this. So when we're after building this place of feeling secure in our household when it comes to money, meaning distance from financial anxiety and stress and just waking up and it's a great day, bills are covered, I can do what I want type of feeling. And financial security doesn't mean that we've quit our day job. It doesn't mean that we're sitting on the beach. It doesn't mean that, again, freedom, retirement. It's just the feeling of security. And part of the security means like, hey, all the bills are covered and I'm still going to work and I'm still doing all these things. I don't want to sit on the beach and get bored after, 5 days of doing nothing. So financial security, even I think it keeps us in the game longer versus having this goal to just hit a certain number and retire. Different feeling, different strategy. Okay, so the first thing when we're looking at creating this financial security is something called earnings. And that's where I call it here earn. It's the E. And earnings means yes, is when we're playing this money game, we have to earn money. And earning enough money isn't easy. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've worked 30 years of my life and I've worked hard and I've worked long hours and I've put in my 10,000 hours of more than one thing. But earning isn't easy. I mean, earning $20 an hour might be easy, but to earn top 10% income means that we need to outperform 90% of everyone else to earn that top 10% income. So part of this money game and what we're doing when we want to create financial security for ourselves is, yes, we do need to focus on earning. And the goal here is to create skills, become valuable in the marketplace for top 10% income. And this is a journey. Typically, we don't get straight out of college earning top 10% income. It's a journey, but the intention is just to earn top 10%. It doesn't have to be to become a billionaire. It doesn't have to become, I want to have a company worth $100 million. It's just top 10% income. Because when you can get in a top 10% income bracket, it's pretty easy to create financial security, or at least you can do it in a shorter period of time. So top 10% income in the US is about $165,000 per year for an individual and $215,000 for a household. So just to give you an idea, so that can be a money goal, is I want to gain the skills to be able to earn $165,000 in the marketplace at some point, or create a business where I'm earning $165,000 a year. And business and entrepreneurship, it's not easy. I have a whole money school to teach, self-employed how to turn their self-employment into a leveraged business. But $165,000 a year in a business is attainable. It's not that difficult. If you want to say, I want to make $1 million a year from my business, that's a different story. But to run a small business to make $165,000 a year profit is really doable. So that even though it's top 10%, meaning 90% of the people never reach this, you can do this. This is attainable for everyone. We just have to get highly skilled at something where we can, in a thing that offers a lot of value to the marketplace, where we can get compensated these amounts. Or it's two incomes for a little over $100,000 for a household income to hit that $215,000. So why is that important? Or why does these numbers matter? Because when we're earning, we're going to take a percentage of what we earn to create our wealth. And I'm going to talk about that in a second in another one of these buckets. So over this time of working for 40 years, we're always working to gain our skills to increase our value so that we can earn more money, with the goal to become in the top 10% income bracket, at least for all my followers. That's our goal. All right, so that's step one of financial security, is working on our earnings. Top 10%, 165, 215 for household. So we may be, if we're in corporate America, we're learning new things and we're increasing our value, maybe changing companies or changing, so that we can continue to command more value. When we're in business, we're learning the business skills and learning all those things so we can build a business that will bring in this amount of money. And I love teaching. A big part of who I teach are couples who work together. And that's really awesome is as a couple, when you can create a business together and combine your talents and your energies, it's a lot, then you can even, on this 215, it's a lot easier even to push that number up because you're working toward the same goals as a high income, and you're sharing talent, and many times you have complementary skills, so on and so forth. But that's step one. Now step two is spending. And the step two means in order to become financially secure, this is key. You've heard, if you've been watching all my videos, I say this, I say this over and over and over ad nauseum. But if you want to build financial security where you don't have to worry about money, where all the bills are covered, then you have to get really good at spending. And what I mean by getting really good at spending is, another word for the spending category is you have to get good at keeping your money. It's kind of the opposite of spending. But the idea here is how you create financial security is you spend less than you make. You spend less than you make. That means you keep some. And in, I think, last week's video, I talked about a quote that I heard on another podcast, and at this moment I can't remember who said it, but I loved his definition of wealth. And his definition of wealth is the money you haven't spent. And it's just so simple. So that's what this money you keep here is called savings. So you have to get really good at spending, meaning you're paying attention to your spending and you're spending less than you make so that you create wealth. And wealth is the money you haven't spent, and the money you haven't spent is called savings. And this is what financial security is. Financial security is the money you haven't spent. It's the money that's sitting around in the form of cash and in the form of assets. And that's the security. And that's what buys you the freedom. But this is the part that isn't talked about because most everybody's just focused on trying to make more money to solve all their money problems, when it's a step two. So when we move here, this is what happens, is that we earn our money here and we go to a job, or for a business owner, we build a business and there's this thing called profit here. And then we move this and we move this over to our household. So if you're a W-2 and you work for a company, that salary gets directly put into your household account. If you're a business, you have a separate business account over here and the business pays you this amount. So if we're going to bring in $165,000 from our business, we drop that into our household. And this is where we spend our money. We spend our money on all those bills, on groceries, on the mortgage, on the car, on the gas, on the insurance, on the utilities, on the kids' private school tuition. This is all of the bills. And you've seen me illustrate this over and over and over again, but what Parkinson's law says is that expenses will always rise to match income. So over your journey, your working career, as you earn more money, you're spending more money. So even if you get to that 165 on earning and now you're top 10%, your household bills are $165,000 a year. So what that means is that you're spending all of your money, you're keeping nothing, because you get what I call this earn-spend cycle. You earn your money, you spend it. You make more money, you spend more money. And this is what is called financial stuckness. People get stuck here forever, for their entire working career. And this might be you. It's the break even, where at the end of every month, there just seems to be just enough money to cover this month's bills, regardless of how much money you make. And this is the trap that we have to get out of. And this is a trap where almost 90% of our population sits, is in this earn, spend, earn, spend, earn, spend. And this graph right here is why we don't have financial security. It's why we feel financially stuck. It's why we have this financial stress and anxiety, is because of this. There's nothing left over. So that's why we have to, yes, we need to earn, but we need to get good at spending and spend less that we make, keep a certain amount, and that keeping is savings, and savings is financial security. So you have to control your spending. And this is hard. I'll give an example. When I was in my mid-20s, I think, and I was selling real estate, and I did great at selling real estate. So one year I got this bonus for being top sales in something. I don't remember what it was. And I received a $25,000 bonus. As I was making a great income, but I got this top award and I made a $25,000 bonus. So what did any 25-year-old probably do? What did I do with that $25,000 bonus? I bought a $35,000 BMW. That's what I did. So now that $35,000 BMW, I financed it probably, but I bought this, who knows, but that $25,000 went into this. And now I drove this fancy BMW and I felt really smart. I felt really successful. It's my first luxury car emblem because, we didn't have anything like that growing up. So I felt pretty darn good driving that car. But then later on in life, I thought, okay, what if I wouldn't have spent that $25,000? I must have borrowed that extra 10 to get this car. What if I would have invested that $25,000? How much would it be worth 30 years later? And it would be worth about $500,000. So I wish, I knew then what I know now, but I'd be $500,000 richer just by that one $25,000 bonus had I put it into just the market to ride out 30 years versus spending on a car that I think I even wrecked that car and totaled it, and who knows, it was just $25,000 flushed down the toilet. But it's just the point that we get these bonuses, we get the money, and we spend it on material things. And that's what keeps us going. So we have to get out of that and start thinking oh, that bonus, what if I put it away versus buying something with it? So very important, the second category of money. Now the third one here is investing. So this is the money you make. This is basically the money you keep. And this is the money you invest. And this is the money you invest where your money makes you money. So that's here, it's investing. So we earn, we spend, and we invest. So if we're creating this financial security, we have to invest our money. And it's non-negotiable. But when you're here, you just keep going here, you see there's no connection. So what we want to do is when we're spending less than we make of our earnings, what we're doing is we're taking a percent of that difference and we're moving it over here. And that's why we want to earn top 10% income, because if we earn $165,000 a year and you use kind of the standard number of investing 15% of your gross income, that would be about $25,000 per year that you're investing. So if that means you're living off 145 versus 165 in this example. So here you earn 165, you spend 165. In this example, you earn 165, you spend 145. And this extra $25,000 or 40, this extra $25,000, you're putting it in the market. That's what you're doing with it. And so what is that going to do for you? Well, in 20 years, that's going to be worth about $1.5 million. And if you did it for 30 years, that's going to be worth about $4.5 million. So here we go. Earning, we're working to hit that 165. Spending, we're tracking all of our spending to make sure that we're not spending at least $25,000 of that 165. We're putting that $25,000 over here and we're letting it ride for 20 to 30 years. But if you start at 25 and end at 55, you have $4.5 million. That's plenty of money. That puts you in the top 1% of net worth in this country. So now what if it were at $210,000, $215,000 as a family? Well, that means we're putting around $32,000 away every year. And if we do $32,000 a year for 20 years, that's about $2 million. And if we do it for 30 years, it's about $5.7 million. That's real money. Very few people have $5.7 million in net worth by the time they're willing to retire. And this is full financial security. This is what financial security is, meaning you have this money over here that's going to pay all of your bills when you retire. But what's going to happen is that the retirement, or this true place of financial freedom, that's great. You're fully there when you've hit these numbers. But over time, as this keeps growing over time, it starts here with nothing, but year over year, it just keeps growing. This net worth, until this whole box is filled. But each one of these steps, year after year, you feel more secure. Next year, you feel more secure. The year after that, you feel more secure. And it's just year after year, it's a sense of more security and more security, versus year over year feeling worse and worse and more stressed out, and life is hard, and now you have 2 kids, and you have a big mortgage, and you have 2 car payments, and you have school tuition, and you have clothes, and you have summer vacations at Disneyland, and you're just super stressed out year over year. But this is what we're doing. We're slowly but surely gaining more security over time. And that's the habit that you want to get in. But this is hard, right? It's hard because this is keep up with the Joneses. The more money we make, the more we have the social pressure to look and buy everything so that we can look like everybody else. And sometimes it's just not material things. I was talking to a student of mine, and their private school tuition, they make around $500,000, $600,000 per year. So in the top 2.5% of income earners. So as a couple, they're making $500,000, $600,000 a year, and they're here because they have a big mortgage, they have a fancy car, they have all the things, mostly the big mortgage, but all the things in a very, the exclusive part of their city that they live in. But they also have this private school tuition for their middle-age kids. And their middle school age kids, what is that? That's like 7th and 8th grade, but they're putting their kids through private school at the tune of $35,000 per year for each child. Now, granted, people, you make a high income, you want your kids to go to good schools, you want them to do well in life, and hopefully a great education is going to do that. But you think you're starting that at middle school, and they're going to continue that through college, and college tuitions are even higher than that. That amount of money, I was calculating it, and I was just doing some rough numbers with her on the phone. I was saying, I'm not saying your kids shouldn't be in private school. I just want you to do some numbers that, let's just do a hypothetical and say, hey, you have a really great public school in this high income district, zip code part of town. The public school is pretty good. Let's just do some numbers and say that amount of money that was going to be, I don't know, close to $1 million or something, maybe not that, I can't remember, but what that was over that like 10 years of them playing private school and college for these 2 kids, the number we came up with after, if they would have invested that money instead of putting that into the private school education, it came to like $6.5 million over 20 years. And I mean, she was floored. They were both floored, like, wait, what? And I'm like, I know we all want to put our kids through this great education, but you guys are here and you're putting the kids in school, and a lot of this school even is ego and identity. And again, nothing wrong with that, but that's a big part of it too, because rich people put their kids in this school. But just know how much it's costing you, because that $6.5 million can pay for weddings, it can pay for their first homes, it can create a trust fund where they really never have to worry about money again. So if we're really looking to set up the financial future of our children, then I guess the whole point of this is you just need to do the math and do the numbers, but we're not thinking that way. And when I learned this myself, when I started studying this, my kids, it's kind of this BMW example that I put here, I was making a lot of money. I was in this, and the more money I made, the more money I'd spend. And so my kids were in private school, same thing. And when I started learning this, I started doing my own numbers. My kids in middle school, I kind of through elementary to middle school, they were in private school. I learned this, and guess what? When they went to high school, they went to public school. Sorry, Cal Macy, but that's how it was. But even then with the public school they were in, is that I actually moved locations so that they were in private school, and I lived in a part of town that was kind of central Austin, and the schools weren't good, but I didn't care because I was putting them in private school. But when I did the numbers and realized like, oh my gosh, I can do a lot more for them if I put them in public school and invest the difference, the money I was put in tuition, we just moved to a different part of town where the public school was a really good public school system, the best in the city. So that's something I did. But I would have followed the same path had I not learned this and run my own numbers. Another example here is that I'll use the same couple as an example. So they have no financial security. They call me on a semi-regular basis. We're restructuring their finances. They're actually selling their big house and they're doing different things, which is emotionally really hard. Like none of this is easy, but they're doing it because they want to create this financial security and financial freedom. They've told me that's their goal, so I'm helping them achieve this with big, hard decisions. But again, like I said, they're somewhere between $500,000–600,000 a year. And they're month to month, they're stressed out. Like I said, they call me regularly because some of the stress, and there is no financial security. Like if one of them were to lose their jobs, it would be game over and it would be terrible. In fact, it's more than month to month. They are big in debt as well to kind of the finance their very, very expensive lifestyle. So no financial security. Now, let's use my father-in-law, for example. My father-in-law, he was a policeman, and then he was a chief of police, and he had a really nice 40-year career, loved his career, and then he retired. And he retired with this nice pension. And this nice pension is like maybe 1/5 of what these guys are earning. But that pension covers his life. He's got a really nice life. Fairly simple. He's super happy. He's out with his horses on his ranch land and he takes care of it. And every day he's living his dream life and he's totally financially secure. And he doesn't spend all of his money each month, meaning even his pension more than covers his lifestyle. So that's an example of he's making a fraction of the money and he's totally financially secure and happy. And he's going to have money probably to leave his children if he wants to. On a policeman's salary. So it's just the point is that this here, we have to get good at earning and work on this, but how we create financial security is all in how well you spend. Maybe you spend less than you make, and you have to keep a certain amount, and a certain amount, you fund some buckets, but this 15 to 20% you have to put over here so that the money grows the money and you become financial secure. And again, the more cash you have, the more distance between this month's bills and next month's bills, the more secure you feel. So that's the earn, spend, and invest. And over our career, we're working on these all the time. Now, the other thing with investing is that, I've said this maybe in the last video also, that people ask me all the time, Krisstina, where do I invest? Like if I just invest, is it crypto? Is it real estate? Is it stocks? Is it XYZ, reinvesting back in my own business, somebody else's businesses? The thing is with investing, how you create financial security with investing is one word. This is it. Consistency. Consistency is how you create financial security. And it means that every single month you're putting money away somewhere. So it's far less important of where you invest and try to find the next shiny penny. It's a lot more exciting to be able to say, hey, I invested in Bitcoin and it went up $100,000. That's super sexy and fun, but then a year later that $100,000 is gone. But it's not really where to invest and trying to find the next best, the best next stock pick, for example. No, we're just looking at consistency. So here, the best strategy is how you create financial security here is getting average returns for an unaverage period of time. And that's what creates financial security. It just means you're moving money that you don't spend, you're saving it and you're investing it so that you have cash available in liquidity and that you have this money that's growing, that your money's growing your money's working for you over here. And again, just average returns. If you just put money into an index fund and get that 8% average, don't know anything about investing, you just put it away. You don't pay a financial planner because you're going to probably give $300,000 to $500,000 away to your planner over the 20 or 30 years when it's just 1%. But again, if you do the math, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars that 1% adds up to. So from abdicating, but just you put it into an index fund. You write it out for 20 or 30 years, and then you're going to have these types of numbers that we're looking at. So it's just consistency. If you start by 25 or 30, you've got all that time. You will never have to worry about money. You're creating that security, and you're going to be able to retire. You're going to be financially free, but you can't be part of this trap. You have to get out of this buying trap, out of this keep up with the Joneses trap. And with every time you make more money, your lifestyle expenses go up. So this is the secret. There's no tricks. You can choose real estate, you can choose stocks, you can choose simple index funds. If you want to make higher returns, yeah, you might choose something that you get specialized at. I chose real estate, and I got really good at real estate investing that's able to shrink some of the time frame that I was able to build my net worth. But again, if you have time, write it out. It's just consistency and never missing a payment. That's it. Nothing I'm seeing here is rocket science. It's so easy. It's available to every one of us. So why aren't we doing it? Most people are going to die broke. Why is that the case? And it's because we're not taught this, so we don't have the financial literacy. But what we do is like my example with the couple. It's so hard to downgrade a lifestyle when you're expect it and you're used to it. It's really hard to let some of these things go. But that's kind of that psychological fortitude, but it's available to everyone. And it's available to everyone at any income level. It's just following this model. Now, the fourth thing here is time. And I did a video that's really talking about your future self, and I really suggest that you watch that video because I really talk about the importance of taking care of your future self, loving your future self, connecting with your future self, visualizing your life 20 years from now, and what that 20-year-old self is going to, who he or she's going to be, where they're going to be, all the things. And it's such an important exercise because if you think about yourself 20 years earlier, your 20-year younger self, how different are you today from that self that was 20 years younger? If you're anything like me, probably really different. I'm radically different then. So I expect I'm probably going to be radically different my next 20 years to my future self. But you want to really relate and connect to your future self because your current self is setting up the future for your future self. So you're setting up a positive future for your future self or maybe a less than positive future for your future self. But this fourth thing is time, that you really have to connect to a 20-year older version of you. And when it comes to money, to really think about what do I need to do today to make sure that Krisstina, 20 years older, is in a good place, a better financial place. Because in all categories of life, meaning what we invest today, what I invest in my health today and how I take care of my body, my mind, and my spirit, the food that I eat, my exercise, like all that I'm doing now to invest in me is going to make a big difference for my future self that's 10 or 20 years older. Same thing for your relationships. What you're investing in now and giving now is going to make a big difference in the longevity and the quality of that relationship 20 years from now. And then same thing with money. What we're doing now with our money is going to make a radical influence or difference for our 20-year-old self. But we're not conditioned. Our biology, you think for most of civilization, the lives that we lived, it was pure survival. I mean, people didn't know they had to get up and go kill what they were going to eat for the day. And, so much survival that our bodies, our biology, and even our psychology, our mind, it's not built to think of long-term futures, what I call longer horizons of time. We're built on surviving day to day, so we're still living that out, and we're not used to the idea of architecting our life and looking out into the future. But if you want to be financially secure, if you want your future self to have all the security in the world, then you want to look at time and you want to look out 20 years from now and to know that your money needs 20 years to create that ultimate financial security. And the ultimate financial security is this world called financial freedom. And the fifth one here, you have to get over immediate gratification. What I'm thinking about is, I was talking about, again, my students this week, and I'm kind of out of space on the board, so I was trying to think if I should write it or not. But I was talking about the idea of immediate gratification, and part of what keeps us here is because we're in a place where we want something today and Amazon has it at our door tomorrow. So we've been conditioned to getting things right away and expecting it, in fact. So we have to get over this immediate gratification, because you have to get over buying $25,000 worth of something. You have to do that so that you have later gratification for the million sitting in your bank account out here. So immediate gratification is your enemy. The other thing is your enemy is this thing called more. And this is what happens. The more money we make, we want to spend more because we want to have more. We want to do more. We think we have to be more. It's more, more, more. And it's this constant quest of more that keeps us either trapped here, like in a real month-to-month financially, or keeps people trapped with just dissatisfied with life. I'm going to see if I can remember this quote. I heard this quote this week on a podcast. And it says something like, there's those people that never learn how to start making enough money. So they can't ever start making enough. And then there's the other category of people that can never stop making enough, meaning they make enough, but they can never stop to make more. So those are two categories that neither one of them are fulfilling, because if we just can't figure out how to make money or start making money, obviously, that's hitting this bucket here. But there are those that just can't be satisfied. So they make $1 million, and that's not enough because they're comparing themselves to people making $5 million, and they feel like a failure. So they just keep going in the rat race and just keep trying to keep up or keep trying to be better. So we have to get over this need for more, and we have to get over this need for immediate gratification. And the other thing is comparison. These are the enemies of financial security. Comparing ourselves to others, meaning, like we've talked about, we're making a certain income and we're a certain economic class, so we have to buy the lifestyle that matches this class. These are the three things that destroy any chance of our financial security. Okay, that's all I've got for today. Thank you so much. This is my Earn, Spend, and Invest, and the 5 things to be able to create financial security. And my call to action, that's a business term, of course, is I have something that's called my millionaire formula, and it's all about how much is enough. And what this workbook does is it's going to help you determine how much money you need to make based on how much money you need to save and invest to hit your financial security and financial freedom number. And then it's going to give you a budget for how much you can spend to make sure that you are taking care of all 3 of these buckets. So if you want that exercise, that workbook, just click the link, or I'll put the link in the description, and do that exercise and let me know what you find out. All right, that's all I've got for today. I'll see you next time.